Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Nelson Mandela. He was born on the 18th of July, 1918 in a small village called Mvetso in South Africa. Nelson's father was the chief of the Thembu people. Little Nelson lived a very happy childhood playing games and going on adventures with his friends in the beautiful countryside. When Nelson was just 7 years old, his father became very ill and died. This was very sad for the young boy. His life changed a lot after that. Nelson went to live with the regent of the Thembu people. The regent was a powerful man and looked after Nelson. Nelson was a clever boy who loved learning. He went to a local missionary school and then a prestigious boarding school called Healdtown. Nelson excelled in his studies and his teachers were very impressed with his abilities. He found he had a special talent for boxing too. After school, Nelson went to study at universities in Fort Hare and Witwatersrand. He dreamed of becoming a lawyer one day to help his people. Nelson worked very hard and after many years of study, he achieved his goal of becoming South Africa's first black lawyer in 1944 when he was 26 years old. At this time in South Africa, there was an unfair system called apartheid. This system discriminated against black people and treated them as second-class citizens in their own country. Nelson was appalled by this unjust system of racial segregation and oppression. Nelson joined the African National Congress, ANC, which was a political party dedicated to ending apartheid through nonviolent protest. He gave powerful speeches calling for equality, justice, and human rights for all people in South Africa, regardless of their race. However, the white minority government did not listen and responded with violence and arrests against the protesters. In 1962, Nelson himself was arrested and put on trial for conspiring to overthrow the state. He made a famous speech in court declaring that the struggle to overthrow apartheid was a just cause. Nelson was sentenced to life imprisonment and sent to Robben Island prison just off the coast of Cape Town. For the next 27 years, Nelson was confined to a tiny cell and forced to do hard labor in a quarry under the hot sun. Despite these inhumane conditions, Nelson's spirit could not be broken. He remained hopeful and drew strength from his belief in human rights. News of Nelson Mandela's imprisonment caused outrage around the world. There were increasing calls for economic sanctions against the apartheid government and demands for Nelson's release. Though he languished in jail, Nelson's name became a symbol of the fight against racism and injustice everywhere. Finally, after 27 long years behind bars, the apartheid system began to crumble under international pressure. In 1990, the new South African president F.W. de Klerk lifted the ban on the ANC and ordered Nelson Mandela's release from prison at the age of 71. As Nelson walked out of prison on the 11th of February, 1990, he raised his fist defiantly in the air to the cheers of a massive crowd of supporters. Despite his long imprisonment, He was not bitter or resentful. Instead, Nelson preached a message of reconciliation and forgiveness. Over the next few years, Nelson played a key role in the official ending of apartheid and the establishment of multiracial democracy in South Africa. In 1994, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa in the country's first free and fair elections. As president from 1994 to 1999, Nelson worked tirelessly to heal the divisions in South African society and build a nation based on the principles of equality and freedom for all. Under his leadership, the government focused on dismantling apartheid, tackling racism, poverty, and inequality. Nelson stepped down after one term as president at the age of 80. However, he remained an activist for peace and social justice around the world. He traveled the globe as an ambassador of goodwill, meeting world leaders and inspiring people with his humility, grace, and powerful message of reconciliation. In 1993, Nelson was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his lifelong struggle for human rights and racial equality, as well as for his policy of nonviolence and reconciliation. Throughout his life, Nelson received hundreds of other honors and accolades from across the globe. On the 5th of December, 2013, the world mourned the passing of Nelson Mandela at his home in Johannesburg at the grand age of 95. Though he had lived an extraordinary life, Nelson stayed humble until the very end. Nelson Mandela was a legendary figure who inspired people all over the world with his courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in justice, peace, and human dignity. His long walk to freedom from prison became a powerful symbol of hope and the triumph of the human spirit over oppression. Nelson dreamed of a world where all people could live as equals, united in freedom. Though he has left this world, his legacy continues to light the way towards a more just, peaceful, and equitable future for all humanity. Nelson Mandela's remarkable life story teaches us that no sacrifice is too great, no prison strong enough to destroy the invincible human desire to be free.